not exactly hidden. "Oh, this ought to be rich. Why are you doing the world as a dark and cruel place routine?" Dale asks Bryn Char, who just holds up his communicator in response. "Still, world-class mope you've got going at any rate." There's a sigh of disgust and disappointment from the older sorcerer as Dale activates the communicator to see that Bryn Char has just finished watching something. A teaser for Bone Chewer. Cruel Revengeance. The sound Dale makes is halfway between a delighted giggle and a cackle. The sound Bryn Char makes in response is of absolute disgust. "Oh, come on! You should be used to these by now," Dale chides him. "I hate each and every one. My wives, however, they love them. The whole family is going to this one opening day." Including Dare Char? Considering that he outright called the company in order to offer his insights, Bryn Char says, and Dale pats him on the back. "You do know I'm about to play this, right?" he asks, holding up the communicator. "I know," Bryn Char says. "Didn't you find one funny before?" "The cheesy ones are funny, all right? When you can see the shadow of the recording equipment and the actresses playing the Orega girls couldn't act their way out of a wet paper bag, it's funny. But this is a high-budget, completely baffling gore fest." "Ah, hits too close to home, got it? Yes and no. They legally are not allowed to show how I kill, so they get some new stupid idea every movie. The funnier ones have me outright eat the bones. The funniest one had me pull the bones out of a still-living victim, and the shaved Lopin they had playing me had some kind of chewing biscuit shaped like a bone that he ate on camera with red berry jam on it. Please tell me you have a copy of that somewhere." Dale outright begs as the mental image dances in his head. "The signed poster is the prize of my collection. Did they make any other films?" "No, it was a bunch of children on a budget that makes shoestrings look extravagant," Bryn Char says, sitting upright with a smile. His former bad attitude is gone at the happy memory. "The looks on their faces when I told them I wanted an autographed poster were amazing. I made their year with that, and what I paid for it paid for their higher education. They didn't go into film, but they did go pretty far. Good bunch. Old Bone Chewer's a softie." "Huh," Dale says as he starts the video up. Vengeance never dies. The trailer begins as it shows flashes of graves. "Hatred never wanes." The voice continues as it wavers in a grave labeled Zulchar. "So long as the living remember them." It finishes before zooming up to show a suited Apuk man that passably looks like Bryn Char glaring into the camera as vines grow up to twine over his face. They're back. The wretched, disgusting organization just never stays dead. The Bryn Char actor curses as it cuts to darkness. "If I alone am not enough, then I will call allies." An enormous green phosphorescent eye opens to reveal an Apuk in the water. "From family. And from the darkness beyond the stars." It shows a Tret actor with a pair of glasses on. Dale pauses the video. "I've got to show this to Koga," Dale says with a wide smile. "Keep watching," Bryn Char says, and Dale turns the trailer back on. "Beauty." The trailer continues and it shows what has to be someone playing Vernon giving a flower to a clear Miro Noir stand-in. And horror. The next image is of a Tret racking a new shell into a massively oversized shotgun. "They got me in there," Dale asks in a delighted tone, and Bryn Char starts to laugh. "Keep watching," Bryn Char tells him, and Dale presses play again before freezing as the Dale gives off a pig call. "Oh my fucking god, they know enough about human stereotypes to have me as a redneck," Dale exclaims in a giddy tone. He then presses play again. "There will be death." The Bryn Char in the trailer finishes before it ends with a woman screaming in pain and terror. Before it's cut off by a crunch that is supposed to be bones breaking, but it honestly sounds like someone chewing celery with their mouth open. It then finishes with the simple words, "releasing soon." Oh God, I'm going to fucking be there. Oh my God, I have to see if I can outcall the redneck in the film. You actually do that? Brinchar demands. It was a stupid contest as a kid, but I remember how, Dale says, chuckling. Oh, it looks like it's going to be way too fucking serious, and that will be a whole level of fun we can have. Well, I'm glad someone is going to be enjoying the utter mess those fools are about to make. Why are you so down on the bigger budget ones? If the shitty bone chewer movies are funny, why are the good ones bad? Like I said, they're too good, too close, and too painful. I don't like being the bone chewer. If it's too close. Ah, I think I get it, Dale remarks. I'm not sure you do, Brinchar states. Well, whether I do or not. Is your little mope session over with? Yes, I just needed to run this by someone. And with Darechar completely on board and your family in love with the idea, some outside perspective is needed, Brinchar admits. Well, my perspective, if it means anything to you, is that this doesn't matter. People believe what they want to, and it doesn't change what's actually going on. The bone chewer is asleep again, and hopefully for the last time. Relax and let him stay asleep. Don't shake him because someone's saying his name. As if the bone chewer were some terrible monster I awake to do my dirty work, Brinchar remarks. The mind of a human, for all it's physically built differently, doesn't function all that differently from the rest of the galaxy. We all have sort of masks we put on. They're all our real selves, but different parts of it. Mostly because all of a person can't be out and proud the whole time. Right now I'm Dale, proper, polite, and with sage advice. But I'm also Dale the hunter, skilled, focused, and purpose-driven. I'm also Dale the soldier, efficient, loyal, and obedient. Dale the sorcerer, too, wise, observant, and compassionate. I understand. I think I do at any rate, Brinchar says. Thank you. No problem. Now, do you want to show that trailer to the village yourself, or do you want me to have all the fun? Dale asks, and Brinchar chuckles. That's it? All I get is an ominous look? They at least gave the redneck a shotgun to cock, Koga complains to the amusement of everyone around them. There was some protest from Mux Morrow and Jeth Erla that they weren't in the trailer, but then they were asked if they really wanted to be shown in a horror movie. I'm not sure I'd ever be comfortable with that kind of attention. I would have gotten people to stop it by now. Morg Arkun notes as he sits on the roof of a newly made house that the children had set up. It was just a placeholder for now. It swayed a bit under his weight and would be torn down in the next couple of hours for them to try again. But they were making good progress. A few more attempts and they could trust someone who couldn't immediately teleport out of danger into the house without concern. It lets out an ominous creak and he vanishes from the top of the house and is suddenly standing on a mossy boulder that frames the stream. The ramshackle little building collapses with a crash, and both Jeth Erla and Mux Morrow give out cries of disappointment. I did tell you boys to make the foundation as solid as you could, Koga remarks. Still, disappointing. Just an ominous look at my glasses? Come on. Well, I don't think the movie they were planning had time to adjust to more recent bits, Cal's Tarn remarks as he starts poking through the foundation. It was one of the harder bits on things. The forest itself actively aided with any amount of plant manipulation and controlling animals, but the power over earth and stone was more of a side effect. The dark forest was just so familiar with it in concept that being connected to it effectively gave you a master's understanding. But understanding things and putting it into practice were different enough that all the child sorcerers were struggling with it. Cal's Tarn was understanding it a little better than the other two, but that was mostly because he was just listening far more intently. So, are you three willing to try again? A sorcerer's first lair is usually just a spot between a pair of roots that can keep the wind off you as the tree keeps off the rain and dew. So this is already better. but you still need to do better if you want a proper place to sleep. It would be easier if you would stop dancing on the central roof beams. And it would be even easier if you'd properly anchor everything, Morg Arkin states. He's right. Without proper foundation, a house is inclined to tip over and shift. Anchor it in the earth good and hard. We're trying. Stone is really hard to work with, Mux Morrow says. I know. You kids are working fast. Compared to old-school sorcerers, you're racing ahead. No one gets anything right the first time, Morg Arkun states as he considers. His gaze turns upwards and he considers further, something he's been doing a lot in recent days. He lets out a thoughtful sound and walks away from the group as a whole. If the pattern holds true, he'll be sitting on the massive leaves at the top of the canopy and deep in thought. There's some time spent clearing off the mess of the run-down shack by hand, and soon enough all three boys are surrounding the foundation. Okay, so we need holes, this big in each of the corners that go down, this deep to really hold it up well, Jeth Erlis says, first holding his hands out at shoulder length, and then he indicates a depth from his eye level to where his belly button would be if he had one. Looks good to me, Dale says with a smile. Remember to use stout and stable timbers for the load-bearing posts. But they're heavy, Mux Morrow protests. Of course they're heavy. They're stronger and can hold up more, he says gently. But they're heavy. And? Dale asks. This seems to stump them before Cal's Tarn sort of coughs into his fist. Could you help us with the lifting then? I could, but why can't you help each other? There are three of you, you have Axiom and you have the woods to help you. Isn't that more than enough? Dale asks. But it's heavy, Mux Morrow says. The harder things are often the most worthwhile. Besides, do remember that you're here to train and grow stronger, Dale says as he walks to the pile of timber and effortlessly hefts up the largest beam there. You don't get strong enough to do things like this by never doing anything hard. You have to do so many hard things that they start to become easy in order to get to this level. But you've had years to get stronger, Mux Morrow protests. And this is your time to get stronger. Take the time and use it well, Dale says, shifting the beam so that he's holding it out to the three boys. I'll get more of these, but you have to place them in the holes, after you make the holes, of course. But those are the hard parts, Jeth Urla says. Which means they're the most important parts to do, Dale says. Hey, while you're teaching the kiddies, I'm cooking dinner, Koga says, walking by, and Dale grins. Ah, sushi, nice. It's not sushi, it's fish. I'm not a sushi chef. Close enough, Dale says with a shrug. Cretinous gaijin. Koga scolds him. Stuck-up Jap. Dale returns immediately. He then turns back as the three kids are focusing hard and the stones beneath them are groaning and grinding as they're forced together more and more. A trick that takes most of the other sorcerers a second to accomplish is taking minutes of effort from these boys. But they're doing it. Now, if only they would remember the holes. It takes about 20 minutes for them to properly drill down the holes for the posts after they harden the stone into a proper foundational slab.